Hello and welcome to another episode of the Expanse Abridged Podcast series. Today we've got chapter 15, a Holden chapter from Leviathan Wakes. And it's a good one, this. It's a good old Holden chapter, nice and exciting. And we get the first glimpse of kind of their new life as well and their new home, which is fun. So last time we saw Holden, he was on the Donager, which is the Martian battleship. He was kind of taken aboard, and they were under attack by some mysterious enemies, and some Marines were helping them flee. And I think the last thing we'd seen was one of the Marines getting turned into light and Holden being thrown into the air or something like that. This is very, very exciting. So we're back with the boys now, and we open, and Holden is floating through the air, and he's grabbing for Naomi. In the middle of the room, there's no cover, and this blast that had kind of killed, well, no, not killed, but hurt Kelly, who was the Marine lieutenant, the LT. He's floating away now. One of his legs is weird. His chest is damaged. His legs are in weird angles. Amos, one of his legs is at a possible angle, which is even more exciting. And the grenade launcher is lining up to pop the boys. And just as the guy's about to pull his trigger, Gomez, who is the mad lad, who was running around and shooting as much to make it to make him appear like a squad, pops that guy, and he's instead of pointing a grenade launcher, he dissolves into a spray of blood and small detonations. And Gomez screams, "Get to the ship!" His voice was grating and high, half shrieking pain and half battle ecstasy. And Holden and Naomi are floating in the air, so Holden pulls Naomi close, then kicks her in the stomach, and sends her up into the air, but him down to the deck. And he lands, sticks his magnetic boots on, and then pulls her close down to the floor. And Alex moves over Amos, who can't really move because his legs are at like a funny angle. Well, impossible actually, not even funny. And they're all together, and Holden starts lashing them all to himself. And they all lash, so they've got these, on their suits they're wearing, they've got kind of rope attached at the waist, and they start lashing each other. And Holden says he'd carry the whole crew if that was what it took, which means he's a good boy. And Alex, who's also fine, just ties himself to Holden for the fun of it, because I think he wants to feel involved at that point. Kelly staggers towards them, so he was a Marine lieutenant, and his arm was visibly crushed on the left side of his torso. Hydraulic fluid was leaking everywhere, and he was moving towards the frigate. So they all start running there undercover. Gomez is kind of shooting around, and at this point, there's kind of storage containers and stuff floating about, so the idea is they're just dancing along in cover and trying to get there. And Gomez shouts like a madman, that's what he says, because he is a madman. He even say it. And Holden's hit a couple times, and he feels like wasp stings on his arms, but he's so full of adrenaline he keeps moving. And Gomez keeps disappearing in kind of explosions as he gets shot so much, but the point is this Martian armor obviously is so good. Kelly whips out his credit card, his little Amex, and gets him onside the ship, and tells Alex to head up top and start flying, because he is the only one who served in the MCRN previously. That's kind of Alex's background. And Kelly tells them all to get strapped in. We haven't got a lot of time. We're going to get moving. And the minute Alex gets up there, he's going to head it straight into full power, which obviously, I mean, up to the point that they won't kill them, but like really, really high G. So they'll have to go on the juice and whatnot. And Kelly's armor is like leaking. There's blood coming out everywhere. And Holden's like, "Let me help you to get upstairs." And Kelly lashes out and says, "Don't touch me. Get strapped in and shut the fuck up now." Which is like big Marine energy. Just want any help, just like get these people I have to manage out. And Holden grabs the boys upstairs, helps Naomi get in, helps Amos get in because his legs all fucked. And Alex is saying ready to go straight away because the ship was kind of left ready. It was the ready ship out. And it punches it all. They're going to punch it out straight away. And the ship starts floating, so you get this gravity in little bursts, it says, as Alex kind of floats the ship and moves it about a bit. And as he's kind of floating away, you can see Gomez, who's been shot and he's down, and the people are shooting his dead body, or at least he's injured. And the ship stops moving. There's a little vibration, and Holden goes, "What the fuck are you doing?" And he's using the turrets to shoot the final few attackers. And Holden was imagining, it says, Holden was imagining what several hundred rounds of Teflon-coated tungsten steel going 5,000 meters per second would do to human bodies, when Alex threw down the throttle and a room full of elephants swan dived onto his chest. Holden woke in 0G, his eye sockets and testicles ached, so they'd been at high thrust for a while. Because as we know, whenever they go into high thrust, this high G, that it was 12 Gs, I think there's one for a little while, Holden's balls always hurt and his eyes. Which is a nice detail right there. I know they kind of come up, and Amos is bleeding way too much. And he's like, what's happened? And it's the Dodger blew up. And the attacking ships, the 6 of them, those mysterious invaders, they think they went down with the ship. Because obviously if they're boarding, they had to get very, very close. And Holden says boarding is one of the most dangerous manoeuvres. You're basically a race between the boarders rushing to the engine room and the collective will of all those who had their fingers on the self-destruct button. One look at Captain Yao, who was kind of the hard-nosed lady who ran the ship. We met, I think, 2 chapters or 3 chapters ago now. And Holden's like, obviously, we know who would win that. Amos has got a bone sticking out of his leg, because he's a legend. So they've gone down there, they've got to sort him out, and they look at it, and Holden immediately goes, what do we do? And starts asking Naomi. And she starts laughing, but a harsh laugh that she barks out. Not a fun haha, but a ooh. And Holden is like, she's like, I have no idea. And Holden says, but you. And then she keeps talking. She says, if he was a bit of metal, I would hammer him back into shape. But he isn't made of ship parts, so why are you asking me what to do? She starts yelling at him. Holden kind of goes, oh shit, puts his hand up and goes, okay, cool, let's just try and stop the bleeding. Naomi goes, if Alex gets killed, are you going to ask me to fly the ship too? Holden also realises he'd been using her as a crutch for years. And it says she was smart, capable, usually unflappable. She'd become a crutch, and she'd been through all the same things he had, and he still kept asking her, all the same trauma. If he didn't start paying attention, he'd break her, and he needed her not to do that. And he said, I'll take care of her. You go look at Kelly, see how he's doing. And she stares at him until the breathing slowed down, and then she leaves. Which one of the things I really do enjoy about Holden is because he does rely on Naomi, and he'll always fuck up, is the thing with Holden. He'll fuck up and he'll realise he'll need her too much, and then he'll immediately react and he will sort it out. But he's very good at kind of this breaks, does something wrong, doesn't often immediately realises when it matters, when he's told, and then adapts and moves forward. It makes out that he's quite a good protagonist for that, because you can kind of empathise with him to some extent, particularly with women folk. But I think also it's nice because you kind of see him as kind of, he's got his flaws. He's not, I guess the term is Mary Sue, but he has his flaws and he kind of reacts to that, which is always very nice. So Holden goes downstairs, starts trying to figure out what to do with Amos, because obviously their medic, Big Man Shed, died about 6 chapters ago when his head got popped off. And he's reading the book about how to sew his leg back together and shitting himself, and they found out Kelly's dead already. And so they get Alex to turn the gravity on, and they try and fix Amos's leg. And they kind of get a description of Kelly's death, and it says every rib on the left side of his body was punctured, and with the gravity so high, all those ribs sort of just kind of drove into him and punctured his heart, his lungs, everything like that, and kind of cracked him open. And he knew that was going to happen when he told Alex to go straight to 12G when they left, which just makes Marines hard. And Holden says you'd normally take the piss out Marines, particularly when he was in the Navy, but 4 Marines had died getting him off the Dodger, and 3 of them made a conscious decision to do so. Holden promised himself that he'd never make fun of them again, which is a very good boy. So now they're trying to fix Amos, who's the big mechanic. And it says it was one of the most horrible things Holden had ever done. Amos wakes up screaming twice, only to black out and then come back. And they basically have to Holden pulls his foot to pull like the leg in, and then lets Naomi line it up as he pushes the leg back up into him as Amos is screaming. And they eventually kind of spray the thing with a load of medicine. It says spray the wound down with antiseptics, coagulants, and stapled it all back. Smack some growth-stimulating hormones in him and stuff like that. Which is nice, I think. At this point, when it comes to physical surgery, there's not too much kind of space science stuff. It is just sometimes the boys grabbing your leg, giving it a twist, and realigning it. A lot of times later in the book, you have a lot of this auto-doc stuff where it kind of straps on your arm and does a load of things for you. But I think I don't know. I quite enjoy the future here, where it's still there's not like a robot that solves it all. One of those machines, say from Prometheus, where you're strapped in, it does all the automatic surgery. And once they fix his leg or done what they're going to do to it, he collapses down and starts shaking, and Naomi starts crying, which is the first time Holden has ever seen her cry. A bit later on, they've prepared Kelly's body for a ritual burial, like a marine style thing, and they're all kind of stood there when they prepared it. And Holden realises they're waiting for him to say something, because he's still technically the captain, and they're all looking at him, and he doesn't know what to say. He's panicking on the inside, and he remembers some advice from a mentor a decade earlier. As do something. It doesn't have to be right. It just has to be something. And he just basically starts talking. He starts podcasting. He starts going for it. And Holden kind of explains the situation where ships are going to start looking for the Dodger, because as we know, this was one of the most advanced battleships in the Martian Navy, so i.e. in the universe. And they're going to be looking for their particular ship, which is called the Tachi, which I don't think I mentioned yet, because their transponder's still on. To which Alex goes, "No, ain't mate. There's a big switch that says transponder off. So before I flew out the Dodger, I turned it off. So no one would know us from the asteroid or the debris." And Holden says, "Alex, that may be the single greatest thing anyone has ever done in the history of the universe." Naomi's like, "It's good, but they still can't go anywhere. Without a transponder, people think you're suspicious because you'll be a smuggler. And even if they were going to be calm with that, you're still a Martian warship." To which Holden goes, "They've got Fred Johnson. And he should let us land our stolen Martian warship somewhere, because he's obviously OPA, so they'll be interested." To which Alex replies, "It's legitimate salvage now, because they took it." Which should be a long-running joke in the ship. So at that point, Holden sends him a message. Sends him a little message, and Johnson responds just with the coordinates for a tight beam. So we discussed previously, it's like a broadcast which goes everywhere, and a tight beam which is focused, so people can't, in theory, listen to it unless they're in the destination. And Holden just basically says, "Fred, question mark." That's his message. It's done on his microphone as well. So it's basically a "you up" to this guy. But it's 11 minutes away, this coordinate, so you can get a reply for 22. And in that time period, he gets Alex to fly towards the transponder, assuming it could be the right way, while Naomi says the ship has a shower the shower's got a shower head, where normally a lot of these battleships have wet wipes. So she asks if we can keep the ship. And they've turned off the atmosphere, where they've kept the dead body as well, so he's nice and preserved. And they've retrieved a small black cube from his body, which is one of his few possessions, and Naomi's going to try and crack into it. So as that's been happening, Big Man Fred, obviously my favourite character, sends back his reply, and it's like, "Yo, it's just in the news that the Dodger's been blown up. I thought you'd be in it. Well, what can I do for you?" And very, very short message idea. Fred's not really giving anything for him. And Holden replies using the code word we had, which would have been about 3 chapters ago now, which is ubiquitous. So he says, "Fred, while our enemies have become ubiquitous, our list of friends has grown kind of short. In fact, you're pretty much it. I'm in a salvaged," which Alex makes him say, "gunboat, and I wanted you to help me out. Can you kind of let me know where to go?" And it was half an hour on the reply, so Fred had to think about this one a little bit. And he sends them a data file of how to get a new transponder code, which is obviously the big thing that lets everyone know where you are, like a registration plate, basically. And here's how to get a new transponder code and how to change it. It's legitimate and it will work to get you to where I need you to go, which is a port. And they all kind of sit there and go, "Holy shit, if the OPA can get new transponder codes, that means they've hacked into Earth or Mars's database, or they've got moles." And Holden says, "Either way, we're playing in the big league now." So, good little chapter there. We're kind of done with the Martian kind of mystery thing. And this is a really big one where now Holden is kind of making his own decision. He's not as much fleeing from one bit of danger to another. He is choosing where to go. Not they had much choice, because only one person would take him. You can see the dynamic there of kind of moving in one direction. About, I think it does say, I didn't read it aloud, one of the quotes is, "There's no longer a danger immediately behind them, making them run." And we also get, I think, there a good little bit of Holden growing as a character. So you can see that tension with Naomi, which is nice. And he starts kind of developing, realizing he's in charge, people look to him, and he has to sometimes make decisions on his own rather than relying. The minute a hard decision comes up, i.e., how do I fix my friend's leg, he has to start taking the lead a bit more. And yeah, and I think the next few chapters will meet Fred and the OPA, which I always really enjoy. And I think the Miller ones start kind of kicking up a gear as well. I think, because obviously I record these in batches every few weeks, so I haven't done an episode, for example, now in about a month or so. And I think I am aware that often I'll go with the Miller chapters. It's a bit of a slow one today, which I can only say for like 8 times until people go, "Fred, do you even like this one?" Yeah. Anyway, cheers out, guys, and I hope you have a good one.